Re-recorded from a galaxy where the spaceships are bumper cars, it's Malignant Bear, featuring me, JD Grossmitz. Hello everyone. In this video we're going to be checking out yet another, I know, there's plenty of them, action roguelike or Bullet Heaven or Vampire Survivors clone, whatever you want to call it. This one is called Time Wasters. This one came out in September of this year, so not too long ago, the time of recording this. And this one leans a little more heavily on some of the kind of bullet hell origins or shoot 'em up origins of the genre, and does some interesting things with that as a result. It's not without issue, but I think this is one of the more unique ones in this ever-growing genre and is worth checking out if you are into this. So, as usual with one of these, we're going to be joining a run in progress. I'm playing as the character Corrosia, and I picked her in particular because, one, I needed to finish one of a little mission with her, and two, she's one of the more interesting ones in terms of weapon type. This game, similar to Vampire Survivors or any others in the genre, is fairly short. A round takes roughly 20 to 25 minutes to do. Enemies come at you in waves, and you have a wave timer up the top. Each wave is about 10 seconds. So if you're thinking, JD, that math doesn't quite add up, it takes a little longer than that because you have to battle bosses as well, every 20 waves. And of course you have a lot of decisions to make in terms of upgrades. So you can see here on the pause screen all the different upgrades I have. At any given time in the game, unless you're doing a special solo challenge, you can have up to 4 weapons and up to 4 crew members. So one weapon and crew member is whatever you start with, and then you can get more as you go. You have to unlock these crew members by beating missions with them and playing as them. You also get some support upgrades, as you can see. So the game takes place in space. You have a little mini-map there. You have a little spaceship that has hull, shields, boosters, a gold magnet, so where you get everything into you, and you have a small chance to do crit damage. That's something you can upgrade as well. All these little things on the mini-map are either pickups, in the case of these green shields, or outposts. This game makes unique use of having background and foreground elements. Outposts are in the background, so you don't have to worry about running into them. You can just stand on top of them, and in fact, in some cases you have to get the maximum benefit out of them. In the details screen, we can see what level ups I've picked when I have, and you can see all of the crew members available in the game here. The ones that are kind of redded out are ones that I blocked so that I wouldn't see them as a possible pickup when you're leveling. Just something neat you can do. You can banish some crew members right off the bat to make the leveling process a little easier. Of course, you can mouse over and see what we're doing. This character is cool because their ability is a slime trail. They have a nice little trail of slime that goes behind them. Or something cool that this game does, again, owing more to the shoot 'em up roots, is you can actually direct where your weapons are going to go, and you can point this out and put this random places. And same is true for other weapons. So the plasma cannon, for example, it's the first one you unlock. If you have it by default, it just shoots randomly at the closest thing next to you, or you can direct it. So you can play this game more passively or actively depending on what you're more interested in. We also have a nice little static shield around us, and the wolf pack. This weapon seems to be completely broken to me. You can turn off manual aim for things if you want to, which is kind of neat. So for example, I don't want my wolf pack to aim manually. I just want them to go willy-nilly and do whatever they do. I can do that. If you get the crew members that correspond to the weapons you pick, you get more upgrades, and each crew member has unique abilities and upgrades as well. So for example, Corrosia, in addition to having the slime trail and giving buffs to that, her special ability is that the magnet that picks up pickups for you can orbit around you, so you'll see that when we zone in. I'm giving all of this detail now because we're very late in a game and it's going to be very chaotic when we jump in. Normally I want to show gameplay a little earlier, but I think this needs some more context. So, this is what it looks like. I made the joke that this game is bumper cars, because that is one of its faults, unfortunately. There's not a lot of enemy variety. In most cases, it's just enemies that swarm to you and try to hit you physically. There's a couple that shoot, as we can see right now. They are very few and far between, and in general you can kill them before the bullets even get close to you. There are some bigger enemies, some different types that'll swarm you, as you can see here. But for the most part, there's not a lot of variety there. There's only a couple bosses as well. There's 6 throughout. and the last one is more of a gauntlet than anything, but there's some nice variety with them. Anyway, here's the level up screen. You can do your leveling either from this screen by hitting tab, or you might have seen the options over there on the left-hand side. So if you don't want to slow the game down, you could potentially finish it even faster and not have to do that. As you can see here, I know I want that one. Everything that's going on here is very hectic. So I have the lightning coming out of me, I'm also shooting out mines. The green slime, you can see I've placed it strategically around me. I'm shooting out plasma, here we have a boss. Pick some upgrades real quick. Upgrades have levels, and then once you max the level, they get just an infinite bonus as well. Of course, you can reroll and banish things, there's a little currency for that. In general, the only currencies you have to worry about are gold, which is how you level in-game. The blue cubes to banish things, there's a little shop you can buy those with, or you can buy things with those, rather. And then purple cubes is your permanent upgrades that you get outside of that. I'm sitting on one of the outposts, this is the super plasma one. It has some turrets that'll randomly shoot things for me. See, my wolf ships are going around, they're doing stuff. In general, though, I don't have to do a whole lot because I'm doing a ton of damage just when this thing happens to go through all of my slime and gets close enough to my area. See, another mechanic here, as you're fighting a boss, the arena you have to fight them in gets a little smaller. If I'm not moving the mouse, you can see the slime trail behind me, or I can direct it. Alright. Dealt with that pretty handily. So we're close to the end, only 20 more levels here. So again, I deliberately picked up here so that we could see some bosses. So the next to the last boss and then the final one. It's the shop where you can spend those cubes, like I said. We go with upgrade our slime damage. That outpost is a big AoE explosion, kills everything on the map. This one is how we get more blue cubes, or you can get them randomly from enemies. This one gives us gold. This one gives us more gold while we sit in it. This one gives us a chance to get the purple cubes. After every boss, one random outpost will be attacked by these ships that are in the background. They can't damage you, but you need to destroy them before they destroy the outpost, or you won't get benefits from it anymore. As you can see, everything is kind of struggling to do anything to us. The map does loop around. I think it's a little bigger than it needs to be, given that it loops, which is just a kind of minor gripe. This one gives us hull. Your shield recharges over time. Obviously, hull damage is permanent unless you pick up that. And then the furthest one down there is just a magnet that we do not need. So there's asteroids around that will give you some upgrades as well that you can find, which is nice. We can upgrade one of our weapons to super status, or super status level 3 actually. Figured out this number up here is what level you currently have of that. So some characters, again, have different bonuses. In general, I've found that boosting is not super useful. That's a mechanic you can do with left shift, as you can see there. That's game plays with the controller as well, perfectly fine. I'm playing with keyboard and mouse, though. Boosting, you go a little faster, and some characters give you extra bonuses while you're boosting. I don't think it's worth putting any points into, though, because everything damages you through melee, so unless you're one of the characters that gets a knockback when you boost into something, you're more than likely just going to kill yourself by accidentally boosting into something. So, likewise, hull upgrades are not incredibly useful. If your shield goes down, you're almost certainly dead anyways. In most runs, I will banish hull upgrades and boost upgrades. But again, not this time, just so we can see a little bit of everything. You can stack up your upgrades and level ups too, so you get a whole bunch at once, which is pretty nice, like we just did there. Again, everything's just sort of coming towards us. This happens every 10 levels. It is. These bigger ships come, they shoot little things at you and push in. They're very hardy, so you can't escape this, but they disappear before they get too close as well. You can fight your way out if you want to, but it's not really needed. Sometimes you get these little mines. There we picked up a magnet. And asteroids have nice bonuses. as is par for the course in this genre, it does get a little repetitive. There is only one map and only one song, as far as I can tell. I don't know if they have plans for more or just more plans in general. This is the release build of this game. They don't have any news posts about future plans that I could see on Steam. Maybe they're in the forums and I didn't look hard enough or something. There's plenty of content though in it. Again, provided you're fine with very similar, samey content. Boosters and shields. We're just gonna hang out here until the end. No real reason to move. Tons of achievements and little challenges and things that you can do. And of course, plenty of unlocks. To get to this point, I have roughly 10 hours in the game, I believe, at the time of recording this. So again, short runs. I've done at least one run with every character. Beaten most of them as well. There's some balance issues. Some characters are definitely better than others. I'll give you a hint. It's no coincidence the ones that I banished there on that first screen that were marked in red. That's not to say they're not all good and viable, but some definitely have an easier time than others, especially while you're learning the game and getting more permanent upgrades. This game does have a lot less kind of very general permanent upgrades. There is no, speed stat. Crit is only one thing and it's very minor. So compared to something like Vampire Survivors or Hollow Cure, there is less permanent upgrades available, and more things are tied to the specific character that you're playing as, the captain and their weapon. There's no hard synergies with them. Again, you can't unlock anything in particular. Combo weapons. But you can figure out what works well for you. So this was the final boss. Again, sort of a gauntlet way to do a bunch of things around it. And then you win, you get the victory screen. Every time you win, of course, you get the screen. You can see the details of everything you did in the run. And you can go into endless mode if you want to. Or in this case, though, we're just going to go, well, do endless for a little bit. And then return to main menu. Just so I can say that I did. This main menu, we can see some of the other features. This one, actually, we didn't come across. This is the gold bug. They spawn in when you do, and they will go and collect gold. And then it earns interest while the gold bug has it. You can kill it at any time to make it stop doing that and collect the gold that it has. So it's sort of a risk-reward as to how much money do you need to make to keep up, or is it better to let the gold bug get a whole bunch, and then you kill it later on and get just a massive boost at one point in time. Here we can see all the upgrades. My other minor complaint with the game is anytime you have any purple cubes to spend, this is just always green and flashing, and it flashes what you can spend them on. You can banish crew here. Another minor complaint is it doesn't banish their weapon. So in this case, we would not see Vermilion as an option to add to our crew, but her weapon, the fireballs, would still show up as something we could select when we level. Wish there was a way that it would banish both, but minor gripe. You can also banish or unbanish from the select screen when you start out. But again, every captain here, you can see their basic thing, upgrades their weapon for the most part. Then whatever their specialty is. So for example, Croja, we just played, we can upgrade her specialty so her gold magnet is even stronger. And what this does is it gets you some levels in those abilities when you're starting out, which is neat. So again, less things that you have to spend on in-game when you're actually playing. So all the captains, just cover them briefly. So this is the first one you get. Standard, shooty bits. Fireballs, the go out. Very weak to start with. Scales exponentially. Corrosia we just saw. Luna is the ships, the little AI-controlled robots. Ram is boxing gloves. He's the one where you want to hit into things because he hits back. It's some interesting gameplay with him, very challenging though as a result. Raven shoots rockets, pretty simple. Also scales exponentially. Tesla shoots out chain lightning, makes sense. Ravebow is another really odd one that I debated showing instead. She shoots out intermittently giant lasers that cover the whole screen, but you don't have much control over them. They'll sit there and they'll do a ton of damage, similar to Corrosia, not quite as much, so she's a little harder to use. Cat has katanas that go around her. Rosa Nova shoots out novas. Makes sense. Doc we saw with the lightning around us. And the 1.0 I have not unlocked. This was the final character they added. You have to beat the game with every character to get her. She can hack enemy ships and make them support you temporarily. Can upgrade all of our little outposts here. And again, getting this means that then we won't see these upgrades in the list. You can see it's 2 of 6 right now. If I put more of my cubes into this, then I won't have to put points into it in-game. And then some general power-ups. So more hull, damage multiplier, gold pickup, chance for more purple cubes, again, more cubes, extra asteroids, make the gold bug a little stronger there, more asteroids, crit damage, shields, boost, and crit damage again. So again, not a ton of upgrades, but enough things to kind of work for and keep you interested as you play. Not a ton of upgrade or unlocks here either. You can see I'm over halfway through with them. I have a few characters I still have to beat the game on, as you can see. Every character also has a solo challenge. Once you've beaten the main game with them, then you have to do it without any other characters or weapons. I've tried some of those before. They're definitely a little trickier. And then they also have a little unique mission. Haven't seen any of those yet, just because I haven't done any of the solo challenges. Once you do that, you can get them as a crew member right at the start, so that sort of alleviates some of the issues in terms of picking your unlocks. But again, still have some work to do on some of these. Not a whole lot of options here though, like I said though. Keep it pretty simple, just pick whoever you want to play as, and then you can banish or unbanish crew so that you're more like, or so that you'll still see their weapons, but you won't see them as crew members. There is some potential in terms of taking a crew member but not their weapon, but in general you would want to double up, and so you'll very quickly figure out what weapons are your favorites and which ones you don't want to use. But still, I think there's some interesting gameplay here to be had. They do some neat things, again, with having more direction in terms of what you can do with actually firing your weapons. Some characters in Vampire Survivors and other games in the genre have done that a little bit. I think this one pushes it a little bit further. In general, I think it would be nice to see more of that shoot-'em-up route in some of these games. So I'm hoping they keep putting some work into this. Again, pretty cheap, as all the games in this genre are. So if you're looking for another one, you can do a whole lot worse than this. Definitely worth checking out. Time wasters, if you are a fan of this growing genre of games. Anyway, hope you enjoyed this quick look, and until next time, have a good one.